I mean, real quick, there's
All
only
right. Armageddon is not Jehoshaphat. The two final wars.
it's not live.
It is live. We live right now. Armageddon is not Jehoshaphat. The two final wars. What's going on, everybody? Let's give all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father. Oh, my bad, y'all. Let's give all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh. We do so by Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai. What does that mean? All that means is all praises to the Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. I'm Priest Sakai, aka Deacon Genesis. And as it always is, big G's, not the little ones, here to feed the little ones. What's going on? I'm joined by
Brother Hassad. What's going on, family? All praise to the Most High.
y'all see the title, man, and we're dealing with this eschatological end time prophecies, dealing with the apocalyptic books of the Bible, kingdom connotation, the last dispensations, going into the ethno-douleia, which is the time the Gentiles will serve, and then the ethnelios, which is the Most High's compassion on the Gentiles we covered a couple of weeks ago. This is very important as we are in the time of World War right now. They're lying and calling the wars in the Middle East regional conflicts, but these are in fact world wars.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Asad. What you got to say, brother?
That's because that's how world wars start. You know, they don't just start off one day. The world decides to go to war. They start off small and then they escalate. That's how World War I started. World War I started with a diplomat, I believe, was assassinated in I believe Austria, is how World War I started. Then, of course, World War II started with the evil mustache man's invasion of Poland. And then we see now with World War III, there's what's interesting about this, and here's why it's so crazy, the times that we're living in. World War III could start on multiple fronts. You know, we're looking at, of course, Israel and Iran. We're looking at China and Taiwan, the ongoing war with Russia and Ukraine. We're going on the 3-year anniversary, about to be 4-year anniversary, I believe, in February of the war in Ukraine. And there was all kind of stir and commotion about whether or not that could start World War III. If you guys remember, put a 1 in the chat if you remember that it's alleged that the United States government bombed the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which goes from Russia to, I believe, certain parts of Germany and other parts of Europe. That in itself is a declaration of war. It's an act of war. If the United States bombs Russian infrastructure, that's an act of war. Just like the United States of America said that 9/11 and the attack on the Twin Towers was an act of war, which, you know, it's alleged that that's an inside job. But the point remains that there's all type of stuff going on in the world right now that could start World War III. You know, go ahead.
Indeed. Did you land your plane?
Yeah, that's it on that. And so next week, more craziness that's going on. Of course, you had the speaking of assassinations, Charlie Kirk was assassinated about 5-6 days ago, and in response to it, you know, you've got people who are mourning his untimely passing. And there are certain people, especially within the Black community, however, that, you know, it's one thing if you, I guess you want to feel bad that he passed away. That's understandable to a certain extent. But a lot of Black people seem to forget the stances that this individual had in regards to our race. Now, does that mean that he deserves to get shot in front of everybody? No. But the way that our people are treating his death, it's like Jesus died. It's like Martin Luther King Jr. died. It's like Malcolm X died.
Right.
And so we're going to be having a discussion. We have it labeled debate, but I don't think we have any formats in terms of like opening, closing, cross. So all of us are Black and Hispanic, and we're going to be having an open discussion as to whether or not was this man, Charlie Kirk, for our people. And we're going to get into some of his policies, some of his rhetoric, some of his statements, and have an open dialogue in regards to that.
Here on this channel, next Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, y'all. So the video is already queued up in the queue. Make sure y'all go hit the notification button. Don't meet me there, beat me there. All right. So all praises. What else? What else? Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Somebody says my uncle just passed because of police brutality. First of all, condolences. Tell Christians to address that. No, that's unfortunate. And, you know, our heart goes out to your family with prayers for your family. I hope you guys are comforted by the Most High Spirit. And this is something that's all too common. Our people, you know, dying at the hands of profiling, discrimination, and over policing. Now, I don't know the case of your uncle, but I know all too well and too many times the case is unjustifiable. So prayers out for you, brother. Yes, there are black people defending Charlie Kirk, of course. Of course. There are black people that defend the KKK. You ever heard of Clayton Bigsby? Okay, so all right, y'all. Before we get started, I do want to make a disclaimer. A lot of Hebrew Israelites don't understand, Christians as well. I think a lot of people who believe in the Bible do not understand that Armageddon is not Jehoshaphat. Now, as we've been saying on these last few classes, because in the Genesis Varsity Online Academy, specializing in Hebrew apologetics, the course topic for the month of September has been the end time prophetic timeline. So we're realizing how many prophecies we have left, which is about 15 prophecies left. But make no mistakes about it, a lot of them are happening simultaneously or like a domino effect. So in going through the course on the varsity, Armageddon and Jehoshaphat will, of course, be the two final wars. Certain people who believe in the Bible believe that's one war. That's not. That is two separate wars. And it just so happens that the landscape of the world conflict right now is shaping up to the Armageddon battle.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give too much of a yeah, I don't want to jump the gun too much. So without further ado, we can get into it. Hold your questions, comments until after the broadcast. Hold your questions, comments until after the class. Matter of fact, let me pause that real quick. I'm going to do what we always do and put a free PDF link to this presentation coupled with the images and in its exact present format. I'm going to put this in the description box right now. So Assad, I think you was talking a little bit about pre-Armageddon before we get into it.
Yeah. So, of course, you know, some months ago, Israel bombed Iran. Iran, in return, bombed Israel. And there was an ongoing conflict that ultimately the United States of America got involved in. You know, this is stuff like we have to really process these last 5, maybe even like 10 years. The last 10 years have been, you know, like Christ said, unless those days be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved. And it's similar to what's going on these last, I feel like, 10 years. Like there's been so much that has happened in the 10 years of, you know, our lives, the past 10 years, that it's hard to even keep up. So let's just kind of go, and I'm going to give a super crash course. 10 years ago, we have Donald Trump runs for president. He wins. No one thought Donald Trump was going to become the president. If you thought, and I say this over and over again, but if you didn't know that the world was getting ready to end, you should have known as soon as Donald Trump won. So Donald Trump wins the presidency. Then at the end of his presidency, the world shuts down because of COVID. Then geriatric Joe Biden becomes the president. There's all type of, George Floyd protests and riots and all type of stuff was going on in America. Then Donald Trump wins again. But before he wins, he almost dies. There's an assassination attempt on his life. Rewind a little bit. Matter of fact, 2022, Russia invades Ukraine. And there is a concern about whether or not there's going to be a start to World War III. In response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, you have Switzerland, and Finland, who historically have been neutral countries. They haven't taken the side of NATO or Russia. They've just been neutral. They now are members of NATO, and they share a long border with Russia. They have a big problem with that. In response to that, there are now BRICS. I think there's like 10 nations that got added to BRICS. Iran is now a member of BRICS. I think Saudi Arabia has even expressed interest in becoming a part of BRICS. Cuba has expressed interest in becoming a part of BRICS. Venezuela, Egypt, a lot of North African countries, and as well as a couple East African countries are now members or looking to join BRICS. And so you have the war, of course, like I mentioned, with Israel and Iran. I believe Iran is a member of BRICS. Basically, what we're getting to is there's a line being drawn in the sand. And if you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you. If you can't see that there's clearly a line being drawn in the sands between the Eastern powers versus the Western powers, just like you had in World War II. You had the axis of power versus the Allies. This is what it's a repeat. World War III is really a continuation of World War II, just a little bit different and far more advanced technology. So now you have BRICS versus NATO, right? And when you read about and when you hear about NATO, it's called the West. If you ever hear in the media, the West is referring to Western European countries and their extensions. For example, the United States of America, Canada, are extensions of Western European civilization, which goes back to the Greco-Roman Empire. Australia, while it's very far away from Europe, is still a part of the West. And when you read about BRICS, it's always called the Eastern Bloc, which is headed by Russia, China, countries like India. They're all in a coalition, Iran. And this is what, not to jump the gun too much, this is what the Bible is telling us is going to happen with one of the final battles, Armageddon in particular. Just recently, Israel bombed Qatar. So all this stuff that's going on in the world, all the distractions, the Charlie Kirk situation, him being assassinated, and all the turmoil that's going on, we have to make sure that we understand that this place is on a crash course to complete destruction. And it's going to get worse. Like Christ said, these are the beginning of sorrows. Nation shall rise up against nation. That's both governments and that's peoples as well. So everything that you're seeing right now is a prequel to the great battles that we're getting ready to see. So all praise to the Most High.
That's right. All praise to Water King. Appreciate that. All right, y'all. So the free PDF link to this presentation is now in the description box, the first link that you see. All right. So you guys can follow along or just keep it for afterwards, as is our custom. All right. Feed the sheep, feed the sheep, feed the sheep. Now, Armageddon versus Jehoshaphat. Hassad, we'll just go through the spirit, ping pong a little bit. I'll start it off. Armageddon is not Jehoshaphat. Have I been guilty of saying this before? Yes. Guilty as charged. I have. Are there camps and Christians who believe that they are prophets teaching that they are the same? Yes. Are they wrong? Yes. Well, how do we know they're different? We'll show. The Bible speaks of two separate battles in two different locations, roughly 60 miles apart. The first is Armageddon, fought in the Valley of Megiddo, where the world powers, I want you guys to be clear on what's happening at each site. The world powers, NATO and its allies, versus BRIC and its allies, basically World War III, the culmination, rise up against each other. Then they attempt to battle Christ and his heavenly host. The second final war comes after Armageddon in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, when what's left of the world powers turn to fight against the elect, or what you would call the 144,000. They're going to try to invade the Israelites when they walk back into the land after they're delivered. These are two final wars of prophecy.
Yeah.
As you can see on this map, Valley of Megiddo is also called the Jezreel Valley. And then you have separately a different location, the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Hassad, you wanted to land back a little?
Yes, just real quick. And how we know that they're not the same, one, like Priest is getting ready to go into, just geographically, they're in the similar geographical region, but not the exact, number one. But number two, the the opponents, the players, the people who are involved in both battles are not the same. And I don't want to jump the gun too much, but Armageddon is the nations fighting each other. Jehoshaphat is us fighting the nations. It's not the same.
Go. Right.
To put a one in the chat if that makes sense. Armageddon is the nations fighting each other. Jehoshaphat is us fighting the nations. One follows the other, but they are not the same.
All right. Big G's in the chat. Hassad, you got to change that one to a big G if you understand, man.
No, you're right. You're right.
The household, that letter is the most greatest letter of the alphabet right now in this day and time. All right. So let's keep going. Armageddon. Armageddon is traditionally identified with the Valley of Megiddo, also called the Jezreel Valley, in northern Israel. It sits near Mount Carmel and overlooks important ancient trade and military routes, which is why, because of this geography, Megiddo was the site of many historical battles. Judges 5:19, the kings came and fought. Then fought the kings of Canaan in Taanach by the waters of Megiddo. They took no gain of money. Then you have 2 Kings 23 and 29. In his day, Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, went up against the king of Assyria to the river Euphrates. And King Josiah, our king, went out against him, and he slew him at Megiddo when he had seen him. This is a case where the Most High God was talking to this heathen king of Egypt, Necho, telling him that you're about to go and destroy the Assyrians. Go do it. Josiah doesn't like Necho, so he sees it. He's like, bro, why are you coming up over here? Necho says, your God told me to go do something, and if you don't get out of my way, your God is going to allow me to kill you, and this is what happened here. But this just goes to show you how historical and monumental Megiddo is for this to be the one of the two last wars ever. Hassad, I'll let you take it from here.
God. So meaning in Hebrew, here's the Hebrew definition. It says the Greek text of Revelation uses Armageddon. This comes from the Hebrew Har Megiddo. Har meaning mountain or hill, and Megiddo, place, name, often translated as assembly or slaughter. So put together, Har Megiddo means mountain of Megiddo, or more contextually, mount of assembly at Megiddo. Even though Megiddo itself is more of a mound, a tell, than a mountain, it's not that large. The term emphasizes it as a strategic high place of battle and gathering. So again, just to reiterate some of the last points, Megiddo is a historical, important battlefield for the Israelites, where we fought a lot of battles in history, and not just us, other nations as well. So to kind of like commemorate that, this final battle will also take place there. It's like Madison Square Garden, if you will. It's like the Madison Square Garden of wars. All right, we can go to the next one. So Christ and the angels come back to save the elect out of America, which is Babylon, and the elect from the rest of the world. This happens before the plagues, and we're going to illustrate that in a moment, but I'm going to repeat this just to make sure everybody understands. So when Christ and the angels come back, they're going to save the elect. They're going to save them from Babylon and from the rest of the world. That deliverance will take place before the plagues that we read about in Revelation. It says the sixth plague being Armageddon. So the elect are delivered before Armageddon takes place, well before Armageddon takes place. The elect then wait in the wilderness until after Armageddon. And this is how you know they're not the same battle, because we're in the wilderness during Armageddon. But Jehoshaphat is us fighting the nations. We have nothing to do with Armageddon. Mm-hmm. That's the Gentiles fighting each other.
Right.
And that's, and the reason why is because, well, there's several reasons, but one that comes to mind. Who remembers, put a G in the chat. You remember Christ said, and if a nation be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. This is a part of, the nations fighting amongst each other, specifically Babylon. Remember, Babylon, according to Revelation 17 and 16, who's going to help destroy Babylon? It says the 10 horns that you saw. The 10 horns are the 10 common markets of the European Union. They're going to help destroy each other. They're going to have so much infighting that we're then all going to be able to capitalize on that in Jehoshaphat and destroy all of them. So we can go to the next one. Revelation 15 and 1. Now watch this, everybody. Somebody asked a good question. So is that the rapture? Not as how we were taught in Christianity, but it's I don't even want to say it's similar, but
We're
it's
taken up. Only thing the Bible has in common with the rapture is that we're taken up. But the rapture teaches that you're taken up to heaven
right.
for 7 years while God's people and all hell breaks loose on earth, and then you come back down. So no.
Right. We're not taken up to the spirit world. We're just taken to a different geographical location on the earth.
And not for 7 years.
Right. So watch this, everybody. Revelation 15:1. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of God. So this is before the 7 plagues have been unleashed on the earth. Verse 2. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire. And then they had gotten the victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass having the harps of God. So what do we see here, everybody? Before the plagues are even, before the first plague, before the 3rd, 2nd, 5th, 6th, 7th, before any plague is unleashed on the earth, the elect are already delivered. The elect are already standing on the sea of glass mingled with fire.
Right. And this is first the elect are coming out of Babylon, because that's the focal point of Revelation. First, the elect are coming out of Babylon, then they go gather the rest of the elect around the world. We proved that in our video a few weeks ago, how the elect will be saved out of America first. Now, I want to also say this too. The 7th plague, everybody, is the missiles. So a lot of camps, even myself, the way I was taught this 15 years ago or plus 15 years plus, we were taught that the sea of glass mingled with fire was, I'm about to drop a bomb on you guys. This is a new revelation alert, but it's just true. We were taught that the sea of glass mingled with fire was us on the chariots looking down at America on fire. But it can't be, because the 7th plague is the missiles. Yeah. Drop a bomb. Put a bomb in the chat.
So just to reiterate, everybody, before any of the plagues are even dropped, there is already a sea of glass mingled with fire. That's the point Priest is hitting on. If we were all taught this, well, at least I know Priest and I were taught, and other brothers, that the sea of glass mingled with fire is us looking down on the missiles. That again cannot be the case, because the 7th plague is the missiles, and before any plague, there's still already a sea of glass mingled with fire.
So what is the question is, for those of you who are in Genesis, you probably heard it already. And if you're in the varsity, you probably heard it already, which is why it's so important to really get up in that varsity or join this Genesis thing and become a big G. So let's get into what the sea of glass mingled with fire is. Go ahead.
The 6th vial is the 6th plague, which starts Armageddon. The elect from America are already taken up in a sea of glass mingled with fire, which is a chariot. That's what the sea of glass mingled with fire is, the chariot. Here's an example right here. Look at this. Ezekiel 1:22. Spread out above the heads of the living creatures was what looked something like a vault, sparkling like crystal and awesome.
So the chariots got glass vaults. In this description of it, the chariots got glass vaults. But when we read 2 Kings 2:11, keep going.
Yep, 2 Kings 2:11. And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of and and parted them both asunder, and Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven.
So when we go back to Revelation 15, this is literally saying that the elect are taken out of America on chariots. The chariots are like a sea of glass mingled with fire. Why? Because they got a crystal glass vault and they got fire coming out of them, as depicted in multiple scriptures in the text. Understand that?
Yeah, you got to understand, these are people that they haven't even heard of a phone, let alone a, so-called UFO. They're trying their best. This is someone, what are we talking about? Ezekiel. We're talking 2,600 years ago, 27 maybe. He's trying his best to describe this crazy object that he's seeing in the sky. The author of Kings is trying his best to describe what he is seeing. And so when they see a sea of glass mingle with fire, they're looking up in the sky, and the things that they are familiar with, they're just writing down and saying that's what it looks like.
That's a cold one. All praise to the Most High. Hey, this doctrine's on point, brother.
Imagine somebody seeing, Ezekiel seeing you on FaceTime. And there appeared in his hand a magic mirror. That's what he's going to say. A magic mirror in which men's faces could be beheld. You know what I'm saying? They don't know. They're trying to their best to when I say I don't know, I don't mean like Ezekiel doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. I'm just saying they're not thinking that 2,500 years later, people are going to have a hard time understanding what they're saying. They're just describing it the best they can. So I hope everybody understands that. So in prophecy, Armageddon is described as the sixth plague and the gathering place where the kings of the earth assemble for the climactic war.
Look at that. Look at that. Why did I say climactic? Climactic. Look at them graphics though. All right. So we're I'll elaborate on a couple slides. But
look at, I ain't gonna lie, yo, I don't know what, because I've been trying it and it just kept saying error. That is some imagery. Can we get a zoom in on the imagery right here? That one might be one of the hardest ones of all time.
Let me see.
Just because that one is perfect right there. Y'all see that?
It won't let me. I don't think it'll let me zoom in.
Put a G in the chat if y'all can see that. That's an angel pouring out a vial on the dried Euphrates River. That is some cold-ish right there. So Revelation 16 and 12. And
wait, real quick. Let me just, because I want to, we're harping on the fact that the sixth plague starts Armageddon. All right. So we got to harp on that fact so you guys can understand how different and how distinguished both of these two battles are from Armageddon and Jehoshaphat. All right. Go ahead.
So Revelation 16 and 12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great Euphrates River, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. Armies coming from the east to the battle of Armageddon. The Euphrates is east of Armageddon. And also, too, the reason in the NLT, it'll tell you the kings of the east are marching west to fight the kings of the west. This is, again, what we spoke on earlier about the Western powers fighting the Eastern powers. Like when we say this, everybody, when this was written, these powers didn't exist as they do today. They didn't exist as they do today 250 years ago. They didn't. America has been a country for just under 250 years, around 47, 48 years at this point. And so we are literally living in the day where not only the countries that the Bible is saying, hey, America's going to be involved in the war, because it says Babylon's going to be involved in this war. Russia's going to be involved in this war. Iran's going to be involved in this war and its allies. So we're not only seeing the nations that the Bible prophesies would be involved in the war, but we're also seeing the beginning of the brew of their beef starting right now. I hope y'all all understand what I'm saying. So we see Russia, we see America, and we see the beef that they're beginning to have. Even going all the way back to the Cuban Missile Crisis. See, this is why it's so important to read history. And this is why us as Hebrew Israelites, we have to step our scholarship up. This is why Priest and I, we do. And this is not to say a shout out to all the brothers who are scholarly in the community. You know, there's a lot of people that I have respect for in the community of Hebrew Israelism that, make us step up and be a better. But it tells us in Ecclesiastes 1 that the things which have been are the things which shall be, and there's nothing new under the sun. In the New Living Translation, it says, history merely repeats itself. So you can tell what's going to happen in the future by looking at the past. This is what we are seeing. This is why it's so important to read the Bible. And once you become a student of the Bible, you are now a student of history, because that's what a lot of the Bible is. But again, the point back to the presentation, Revelation, I'll read this last part.
Okay, go ahead.
So the very next verse of Revelation 16. So remember, in verse 12, the sixth angel pours out his vial upon the Euphrates River so that the river can dry up, so that the kings of the east can march toward the west. Right? Verse 13, the very next verse. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirit of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth. That's what it means when it says that they were given, the dragon, the false prophet, and the beast were given unclean spirits, meaning there are demons that God sends on these rulers, on Donald Trump, on Joe Biden, on Vladimir Putin, on whatever world leaders. They're the spirit of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world. Why? What is the purpose in God sending these demons on the rulers of different governments and empires and countries in the world? Why? To gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. There have been times when people would ask me, and I would ask the question naturally. It's a natural question. If we know the truth of the Bible about who we are and who the Israelites are, who the Edomites are, etc., you don't think that some of the elites and the world powers and the people in, in their governments, etc., you don't think that they have an idea? Of course. So then would beg the question, well, why would they go along with biblical prophecy? The point is they can't do anything but that. Just like Pharaoh wanted to let the Israelites go. Remember that, everybody. Pharaoh wanted to let us go. But it says God hardened his heart. He hardened his heart so that his purpose could be accomplished. So God literally has demons go on these different rulers of the earth to have beef and quarreling amongst each other, just so Armageddon can happen, just so they can beat the hell out of each other, and then lead into Jehoshaphat where we beat the hell out of them.
Right. Okay, I'll pick it up from here. So in this prophecy, the dragon represents NATO. Did you break it down already? If not, it's good.
I didn't break all the way down, but go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, in this specific context, the dragon represents NATO, the military power structure uniting the nations, right? NATO. The beast is America leading the empire. Remember, it says the whore sits on top of the beast. So America is running NATO. The false prophet is the Pope, or broadly Christianity, which spread lies to deceive the world into following the beast to battle at Armageddon. I hope you got, I probably said that too fast, but let me unpack it. So what's going to happen during this Armageddon is NATO, of course, the dragon, they're unified. You got Article 5. America is leading NATO, sitting on top of the beast. The false prophet, the Pope, Christianity, they're going to say this war has to happen, or give some type of reason. Oh, this is a holy war. And so this is what's going to usher in the genesis of NATO. You understand that? That's what the prophecy is saying. So when we go back, it says these unclean spirits coming out of the mouth of the beast, or the dragon, NATO, of the beast, America, and the false prophet, Christianity, the Pope. All right. Then it says in verse 15, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. And he gathered them together. This is the 6th plague, y'all. He gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. That's the 6th plague. That's when Armageddon starts. The 7th plague is the missiles. All right, but we're just focusing on Armageddon and Jehoshaphat. Now, as BRICS and NATO with their allies clash at Armageddon, Yahushua and his angels suddenly appear. Now, the Valley of Jehoshaphat, NATO will not be there. I'm jumping the gun a little bit. NATO won't be there, and Yahushua won't even be doing putting in work at that point, who the world calls Christ. It'll just be the 144,000 destroying what's left of the nations. I want that to be clear. So, but during Armageddon, you see Yahushua and his angels suddenly appear. At that moment, the Lamb makes war against the beast, NATO, led by America, and destroys them. You understand that? So this is in Revelation 19. Starting at 17, and I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God. Ain't that crazy that the great God is the Father is called the great God here, but the Lamb, Christ is called the Lamb here, destroying the Trinity. Verse 18, that ye may eat the flesh of kings and the flesh of captains and the flesh of mighty men and the flesh of horses and of them that sit on them and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. This is going on at Armageddon. Now, we're going to keep going, though. So in Revelation 12, remember, Satan and his angels fighting against the beast and his angels. This is also Armageddon. How do we know? Because the beast won't be there in the valley of Jehoshaphat. We're going to prove that in just a second. So in Revelation 12 and 7, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought in his angels. Michael is dealing with the angels and the chariots. The dragon, that's dealing with NATO and their air forces, right? And prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. How do we know that this isn't talking about something that happened before the world was created, like Christians silly selves say? Because right after this, it says salvation has come.
Exactly.
So this is NATO and Air Force fighting against the chariots at Armageddon. Look at this imagery. Yeah. Look at that color.
Christianity is so goofy. They believe that this is when there was a war in heaven. This is Satan. This is when Satan gets kicked out of heaven and he was the angel of music. It has nothing to do with it. If you just read Revelation 12 in its context. But the reason why, check this out, Chris, let me know if you think I'm tripping. The reason why Christianity, specifically like Western European Christianity, will not give the accurate breakdown on Revelation 12 is because Revelation 12 calls the Roman Empire the devil and Satan that deceived the whole world. Now, remember, every Christian was a Catholic until 500 something years ago. So were they going to read Revelation 12 and say, yeah, we're the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world? Because it tells you that that's the Roman Empire who did that. Who's the devil and Satan? Because it said they tried to kill Christ when he was a child. The Roman Empire did that. You see?
All right. So you can take it from here. Go ahead.
So Joel 2:19, it says, yea, the Lord will answer and say unto his people, behold, I will send you corn and wine and oil, and you shall be satisfied therewith. And I will no more make you a reproach among the heathen. How does the church fit into all this? Like, how is if all these prophecies are about the just the Christian church, what does that mean? I will no more make you a reproach to the heathen. I will remove far off from you the northern army. What does that mean? And I will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he had done great things. Meaning they're going to be destroyed. And just like a dead body stinks, that's what's going to happen to them. They're going to get completely annihilated. The Northern Army, North American Army, is in the location of Armageddon. That's what's getting ready to happen. They're going to be destroyed in Armageddon.
Yeah, they don't. The NATO, the North American Army, they don't make it through the Valley of Jehoshaphat, but the rest of the world powers do. Watch, let's prove this. In Revelation 19 and 19, it says, and I saw the beast, this is NATO, and the kings of the earth, their allies, and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army, right? Look at verse 20, and the beast. So now we do have all the world armies in verse 19, but only the beast is destroyed. That's a dagger. Look at that. All the world powers are fighting against each other in verse 19, but only the beast, NATO, is destroyed. And with him, the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire burning with brimstone. Now, notice that Yahushua only destroys the army of the beast, the armies of the beast, NATO, casting them into the lake of fire at Armageddon. For one, this proves where the lake of fire is. They're not killing them over there in Jerusalem, north of Jerusalem, and then taking them on chariots and bringing them back to America. You guys got to be complete idiots to think the lake of fire is in America. The brick forces, they're not wiped out. The bricks are not wiped out at Armageddon. They are preserved for the next and final battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Put a G in the chat if you understand, or shit, Hassad, do you have to translate what I'm saying?
No, they should understand that.
All right, let's check out the chat, because that was heavy. That was heavy like the confetti. Okay, let's see. Priest Yakana says, back up. What do you mean, brother? I'm going to do a quick pit stop. You guys got 18 seconds for just a couple questions. I want you to save the questions for the end, but I also want you to get it. All right. All praise to the Most High, the biggest G's in the building. All right. So now let's go crazy. Go ahead, Hassad. Oh, wait. I just want to explain this because we did mention the lake of fire. So the lake of fire, you see the lake of fire, it starts at Basra. How do we know? This is just extra credit because Yahushua comes back before Armageddon. See, this is what we're going through in the Genesis Varsity, the actual sequence of prophetic events. So when Yahushua comes back, he gathers the Edomites in Basra and destroys them. Then the plagues come. The sixth plague is Armageddon. See that? You see how the lake of fire is stretching like this? That's prophecy. Okay? So, go ahead, Assad.
Next and final war is the Valley of Jehoshaphat. So, Pierre asked in the chat, I'm still learning. There are going to be multiple battles. There's two final wars. The battle at Armageddon, which is the nations fighting each other, and the battle at the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which is the nations and us fighting. So you see us right here. This is a coalition of nations, coalition of the willing.
No, this is we're going into Jehoshaphat now. So NATO's not in this picture. Who's next at Jehoshaphat is all the world powers outside of NATO.
That's what I'm saying. It's a coalition of the willing. All the nations come together to fight against us.
All praises.
So remember, Christ's return begins with the gathering of the Israelites out of all nations. That's why it says he shall, what is that? In Matthew, it says he shall come with the sound of the trumpet, with the sound of the archangel. And then it says, and he shall gather his elect from the four winds of heaven. So it says he brings them into the wilderness for judgment and refinement while Armageddon rages between the world powers. After Armageddon is finished, the Israelites leave the wilderness on foot, making their way back to the promised land. At that moment, the BRIC nations and their allies attempt an invasion, but they are met in the Valley of Jehoshaphat by Yahushua and the elect for the final war. So now we're jumping from Armageddon, and now we're getting into the final battle. This is the final countdown. This is the actual last battle. This is where the Rocky music, you cue the Rocky music, and the Israelites start beating the hell out of everybody.
Now, you know what? I want to say this too. There are some members of NATO that do turn on America, so they could be present in what's left during the Valley of Jehoshaphat. But what is for sure is that the American military and whoever is joined to them at that moment, they get completely obliterated at Armageddon. That's a fact. So watch this. Let's keep going. Go ahead, Assad.
The rest of the nations, BRIC and their allies, leave Armageddon to head to the final war at Jehoshaphat. So this is 2 Esdras 13 and 33. And when all the people hear his voice, this is the Messiah, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another.
Ooh.
So there's going to be a struggle for power, essentially. There's going to be a power seat that's going to be open. because America was taken down, and now Russia is now the most powerful empire, but there's still infighting even amongst that. So they're going to leave the battle they have amongst each other.
Yeah, wait, real quick. Read that one more time. 2 Ezra 13 and 33.
And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another.
So when you read 2 Ezra 13, I just want to make sure everybody's clear. 2 Ezra 13 depicts both battles. All right, so you guys are not confused. It talks some of Armageddon, and then it talks the Valley of Jehoshaphat. So this is explaining how they leave from Armageddon to another battle. All right, just want to make that clear because you guys might get confused with 2 Ezra 13. Go ahead.
Yeah, the water for clearing that up. Salakia.
That's good.
So some people think that the battle at the Valley of Jehoshaphat is 1,000 years after Armageddon, or that it's the same battle. The problem with that, and here's how we know that that's not the case, is Armageddon is in Revelation 19, what we just got done reading. Revelation 19 speaks about Armageddon. But Revelation 20 depicts an entirely different battle,
right?
Which is the battle at Jehoshaphat. So Armageddon is Revelation 19. Jehoshaphat is Revelation 20. We're going to prove that right now.
Break it down, brother.
Revelation 20 and 7, all the way through 10. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. You have Christians and even, unfortunately, some Israelites that teach that when Christ comes back, we're going to be in the kingdom. And then 1,000 years later, there's going to be this attempted coup against Jesus Christ by Gog and Magog. And that's what that's referring to. That's not at all what that's talking about. All right. When Christ comes back, he's going to reign forever, even forever. And we're going to beat all the other nations into dust. There's not going to be no uprising. There's going to be peace on the earth afterwards. Not no 1,000 years later, there's going to be a revolt. There will be no slave rebellions on Jesus Christ's plantation. It says, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. Now, listen to this. Gog and Magog. So Revelation 20 tells you this battle right here, Gog and Magog is involved, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sands of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about. That's the Israelites and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. So this is not the same battle, and we're going to further prove it momentarily. But this battle right here is very specific. It involves, again, Gog and Magog, and they encompass the camp of the saints round about. And then right here it says the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. Not to jump the gun, but you read about this same battle in Revelation 13 when it says an innumerable multitude was gathered together to fight against him.
2 Ezra 13, you said Revelation.
Oh, I'm sorry. 2 Ezra 13 says an innumerable multitude was gathered together against him. Or when it says, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. Or like we're getting ready to read, we can go to the next chapter. Or sorry, the next slide.
Real quick, though, I want to the water for the super chat donation, brother. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all are like, sharing, and subscribing. If you just came in, there is a free PDF, as always, with no paywall to this presentation in the description box. But I want to just say this real quick for everybody. I got to the side. I forgot. I want to read this real quick. So as you see, guys, Gog and Magog are about to battle the Israelites, but they're outside of the city. The Valley of Jehoshaphat is just east outside of the city, showing you that this is not Armageddon. Now, for everybody, after they're destroyed, it says that they're cast into the lake of fire. But look what it says, where the beast and the false prophet are already at. So Revelation 20 confirms that America and its allies, NATO, they're already destroyed. They're already there. Now, the same thing is going to happen to Gog and Magog. So this is actually telling you that these are two different time periods, two different locations, two separate battles. Understand that. Lord in Christ. We in the spirit, brother. Let's go.
It's time. So The 1,000 years, and that's somebody might ask a question. The 1,000 years, what is that referring to then? Is the time of the fall of the Roman Empire to the Renaissance, which is approximately, oops, I accidentally spelled which wrong, which is approximately 1,000 years apart. Moreover, Revelation 20, see, that's really sidebar. Normally when you misspell a word, there's a red line under it. Where was the red line? Is Wahik a word? Wahik? All right, so Wahik is which approximately 1,000 years apart. Moreover, Revelation 20, here's the most important part. Let me stop playing. Revelation 20 is drawing from Ezekiel 38. Let's see what it says. Let's see if Ezekiel 38 is depicting a battle that is 1,000 years after Jesus Christ's return. Because that's what most Christians teach and what some Hebrew Israelites teach. So
here comes the dagger.
So this is a little bit of reading, not too much. Ezekiel 38, and we'll start at verse 2. Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog. Just like we got done reading about in Revelation 20. Same party involves Gog. The chief prince of Meshech. Meshech is is Moscow, modern day Moscow. The chief prince of modern day Meshech would be Vladimir Putin. It says, and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against you, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn you back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring you forth. What does that mean? He's going to put hooks into your jaws. If you've ever gone fishing, you're literally putting a hook into a fish's jaw. And when you reel it in, you control where it goes. Meaning God is going to control and force Gog and Magog and all their allies to go to war. It says, put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring you forth, and your army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. After many days shalt thou be visited. In the latter years, look at this, in the latter years you shall come into the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people. Let's pay attention to some of the language that's being used. It says, in the latter years, you shall come into the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people. It says, and against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations. And they shall dwell safely, all of them. You shall ascend and come like a storm. Now remember, in Revelation 20, it says, you shall come like a cloud. Ezekiel 38, it says you should come like a storm. It's just another way. It's colorful language for depicting a bunch of people. So many people that you can't even count. It's like there's so many people look like they were a cloud. If you look in the sky, a cloud is huge. Some clouds look like they don't even ever end. Imagine you see a group of people that's so big, you compare them to the size of a cloud. That's what's going on right now. So it says, thou shalt come and ascend like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud. Here we go. A cloud to cover the land. Same language. That's how you know Revelation 20 is drawing from Ezekiel 38. It says, you and all your bands, and many people with you. Your bands would be their allies. It says, thus saith the Lord God, their army. Thus saith the Lord God, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into your mind, and you shall think an evil thought. What is the evil thought that Russia is going to think? And thou shalt say, I will go up to the lands of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them without walls and having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil and to take a prey. I mean, we're going to go back to our homelands and finally be out of captivity. And here go these people yet again, and they're going to try to enslave us essentially all over again and hit a lick against the Israelites all over again. Now notice, this is a total sidebar. This has, not happened to the people over there in the land of Israel. Not at all. When they got back to the land of Israel, was there a 6-day war? Yes. Has there been skirmishes between them and the Palestinians? Certainly. But there has not been this coalition of nations in the last 60 years, almost 80 years now at this point, that have come together against current modern day Israel to try to destroy them and take a spoil. That just hasn't happened yet. So they do not fit this prophecy in any capacity whatsoever. So anyway, it says to take a prey and to turn your hands upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the lands. And thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, Russia and all the other countries, thou and many people with you, all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army. And you shall come up against my people Israel as a cloud to cover the lands. It shall be in the latter days, and I will bring you against my land, that the heathen may know me when I shall be sanctified in thee, O Gog, before their eyes. What does that mean that God's going to make himself known among the heathen? The same way that God made himself known amongst the world when he said, for this purpose have I raised you up, Pharaoh, that I might make my power known in you. I'm going to raise you up to destroy you so everyone can know about how powerful and mighty the God of Israel is. So as we see in Ezekiel 38, it takes place right after we enter into the lands.
Real quick. When I switch it to the next slide, you can keep elaborating on the last one. I'm just switching it to the next slide.
Okay,
yeah. like when I be switching it, you be hurrying. Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm just switching it.
So I want everybody just to kind of understand, because that was a lot of reading.
It was. That's why I want you to like unpack it and simplify it.
I'm about to right here in this slide. So notice it says they would come into the lands. This is Russia, that is brought back from the sword and brought forth out of many nations. The fact that it's still referring to us and our lands with this type of language shows that it isn't 1,000 years after Armageddon. This is not 1,000 years after Jesus Christ returning. Because again, some people teach that Revelation 20:7, and after the 1,000 years are expired, is 1,000 years into Christ's kingdom. Russia's going to try to start a revolution against Jesus. Well, no, because again, Revelation 20 is drawing from Ezekiel 38. And when we read Ezekiel 38, it's speaking about our deliverance as if it's recent, because it will be recent when this prophecy takes place. That the people that are brought out of captivity. If we got brought out of captivity 1,000 years prior, they're not going to refer to us as the people that just got brought out of captivity. They're going to just tell us, they're going to call us, the Israelites, right? But also it says the land of unwalled villages. Remember in Ezekiel 38, it says we will go to the land of unwalled villages. Well, we know that when we get back to our lands, we will have walls. Isaiah 60:10 says, the strangers shall build up your walls. So why don't we have any walls in Ezekiel 38? That's because we just got out of captivity and returned home in Ezekiel 38. We haven't had time to rebuild anything. So Revelation 20, when again it says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, is not referring to 1,000 years after Armageddon. That is referring to something completely different. It's referring to, again, the time in which the Roman Empire fell all the way to the time of the Renaissance, which is the rebirth of Western European civilization. And then we have Armageddon, and then we have the battle at the Valley of Jehoshaphat. All right, put a G in the chat if you follow so far. Put a G in the chat if you follow so far. All praises to the Most High. And then we got a lot more that we're getting ready to go into. So make sure y'all like and share the video too. We got about 300 something people in here. Make sure y'all like and share the video. It don't cost you nothing to show some love. So all praises to the Most High. That's what is being detailed right here. All right, we can go to the next one.
All praises. I came right on time, huh? All praises.
So now Joel 3. Joel 3:9, and I know this is a little bit of reading, you guys, but this is important because Joel 3 literally speaks about the battle at the Valley of Jehoshaphat. So Joel 3:9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about.
Real quick. Listen, if either we're locked in or we're not. What were you about to say?
I was about to say, this is like us flexing on the Gentiles. Like, get ready, do your push-ups. I want you to show up fight night in the best tip-top shape. That's what we're saying.
No, right? I was about to say, this sounds like Second Ezra when it says they were scared but still fight because we got to rally them up. We got to rally them up like, hey, like, you know what I mean? You guys put hooks in your jaws and force them to do this because they're not going to want to fight against the glorified men of the Lord. Remember, this is the Valley of Jehoshaphat. They're not fighting against each other. They're fighting against 144,000. All right. So I know Hassad said it earlier, but there's new people coming in. Armageddon is all the world powers fighting against each other. but then Yahushua comes and destroys only the beast, leaving the rest of the nations to get destroyed by the 144,000 at Jehoshaphat. This is all of these verses are proving that. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. So it says, let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes and multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun and moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. The Lord also shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem. So this does a couple things. This again illustrates that Armageddon and Jehoshaphat are not the same. Notice Zion, Israel, Jerusalem, they're not mentioned anywhere in regards to the battle at Armageddon because we're not a part of it. That's their fight. Jehoshaphat is God gathering the nations for us to fight against them. That's why it says the Lord shall roar out of Zion and his voice from Jerusalem. And the heavens and the earth shall shake, but the Lord will be the hope of his people, the strength of the children of Israel. This is the battle at Jehoshaphat, us fighting the nations. We can go to the next one.
Khan, go ahead.
Joel 3 literally is describing the battle at Jehoshaphat. Both it and Ezekiel 38 describe the nations of the world coming together to invade us for this great final battle. As they invade, the 144,000 meet them in Jehoshaphat. Because remember,
where does the Bible say this, Hassad? Somebody might ask that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You want to say something? Go ahead.
We're getting ready to go into it.
Look at this right here. So I created this image, but then I didn't forget. I wanted to emphasize that it says fire and brimstone, and the fire and brimstone just represents the 144,000 destroying them utterly, which I have a crazy image coming up in a second here. Go ahead.
So Zechariah 12, and we'll start at verse 2. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege, both against Judah and against Jerusalem. Remember in Revelation 20, it says, they shall encompass the camp of the saints round about. That's what a siege is.
Right. The beloved city. The beloved city.
Yep.
So the Jehoshaphat happens around the beloved city. Armageddon is way north. Go ahead.
Come. So it says, and in that day I will make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all the people of the earth. Sorry, for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces. Though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. So there's going to be, again, a coalition of all the nations of the world are going to be trying to fight and overcome us. It says, in that day will I make the governors of Judah like an hearth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in a sheaf. And they shall devour all the people round about, on the right hand and on the left. And Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place.
Can I say this real quick?
Yes.
Remember, y'all, who the world calls Christ, he not getting busy in Jehoshaphat. He getting busy in Basra. That's before Armageddon. And then he gets busy at the end of Armageddon. Once you guys understand that, Jehoshaphat, as you guys are reading, is going to be the 144,000 getting the chance to be the battle axe and weapons of war against Brick and his allies, led by Gog and Magog. Go ahead.
And again, not to sidebar too much, but when we read some of these vivid descriptions about what's going to happen when the true Israelites return back to their homelands, it is clear as day that the people who are currently claiming to be the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they do not fit this. Because even as we illustrated earlier, before even this takes place, we have to enter into the wilderness. Hello, when did they enter into the wilderness? To then enter into the new covenant and have the rebels amongst them purged. When did that happen? But again, when it says that when the real Israelites return home, the whole world is going to gather themselves together against them, and they're going to defeat them in battle. It says, and here's the point too that reminded me of to even bring that up. Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place. The real Israelites are going to possess the fullness of the land of Israel, even in Jerusalem. They don't even know where Jerusalem is. You can go into Israel. They'll have a sign that says Zion that way, City of David that way. When the Bible says, I think it's 2 Samuel 5:1, I could be wrong. It's somewhere in like Samuel 5, that the stronghold of Zion is the city of David. They have a sign in Israel right now, you guys, that says City of David that way, Zion that way, when they're the exact same thing. So again, it says, in that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, not the United Nations, not the United States of America, not Russia. No, it says God's going to defend our people. It says, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as King David, and the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord before them. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem.
That is Jehoshaphat, my friends, not Armageddon.
So when it says fire and brimstone would devour Gog and Magog in Revelation 20, when it says fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them, that's what this is referring to. The Israelites are given power by the Most High to burn up the nations when they try to invade our homeland. It reminds me when Ali told, was he telling to Joe Frazier or was he talking to George Foreman? He said, I'm going to burn you up. This is what's getting ready to happen to the heathen. We're going to burn them up. Revelation 29, here we go. It says, and they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about and the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. That's us. We are the fire of the Most High that's going to devour the Gentiles.
That's right. Bring that out, brother. And get a Most High a hand, man. All praise to the Most High. We're not done. We are not done. Hey, what's his name? Switch Beats. We're not done yet, but get a Most High a hand, man. That's justice. It gets worse, y'all. It gets clearer. There's more clarity.
Yeah.
In misery and disparity for them.
Yeah. So watch this. Zechariah 10:5. And they shall be as mighty men, which tread down their enemies in the mire of the streets in the battle. And they shall fight, because the Lord is with them. And the riders on horses shall be confounded. And I will strengthen the house of Judah, and I will save the house of Joseph, and I will bring them again to place them. So,
amen.
So we get placed back on our homeland, and then we fight because God is with us.
Amen.
For I have mercy upon them, and they shall be as though I had not cast them off. For I am Yahweh their God, and will hear them. We can go to the next one. Zechariah 9. Zechariah speaks about this final battle all throughout it. So look at this. Zechariah 9:13. When I have bent Judah for me, filled the bow with Ephraim, and raised up thy sons, O Zion, against thy sons, O Greece, and made thee as the sword of a mighty man. This is the final battle. This is us beating up the Edomites in particular. It says, and the Lord shall be seen over them, and his arrow shall go forth as the lightning. Someone says, so we won't have any casualties during the war? Brother, it just said, he that is feeble amongst them shall be as King David, and the house of David shall be as God.
Yeah, real quick though, and this is after the wilderness, so we've already entered into the bond of the covenant. That's glorified bodies. That's why it's so important to get into that Genesis Varsity Online Academy, specializing in Hebrew apologetics, man. Yeah. Lord in Christ. You got to know the prophetic timeline. Which beast is in Revelation 10? That's dealing with America and its allies in NATO. You understand? They're already destroyed at Armageddon. That's why you got to read Revelation 19. It says the beast, and then we're cast into the lake of fire. They're already burning at the time that Gog and Magog, which is why it says Greece here, because Edomites will be leading the rest of the world powers into Jehoshaphat. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, and that's the origin. That's the genesis of Western European civilization, is Greece. So it says, and the Lord shall be seen over them, and his arrow shall go forth as the lightning. And the Lord God shall blow the trumpet, and shall go with the whirlwinds of the south. We're going to be going up Super Saiyan 144,000. The Lord of hosts shall defend them, and they shall devour. See, that's the Lord using us. Because remember, it said that, what does it say? Filled the bow with Ephraim. And then it says his arrow shall go forth as the lightning. So Ephraim is the bow, or is the arrow. And Judah, we're the weapon as well. It says, and the Lord of hosts shall defend them, and they shall devour. So the Most High is going to defend us by giving us power to destroy the heathen and subdue with sling stones. And they shall drink and make a noise as through wine. And they shall be filled like bowls and as the corners of the altar. And the Lord their God shall save them in that day as the flock of his people. For they shall be as the stones of a crown lifted up as an ensign upon his hands. See that? Sorry, upon his lands. When Zechariah sees the battle, he sees the Most High using us to destroy the heathen that will fight against us. That's what it means, just to reiterate, when it says that fire came down from heaven. This is the Most High using the Israelites to do destruction.
Because we do destruction. I'm talking about 100. You know what I learned, Hassad? Side note, never to make a bet with a believing, practicing Hebrew Israelite who has a beard and wears fringes and keeps the Sabbath and doesn't eat pork. I made a few bets on this Canelo and Crawford fight. Do you think any with Israelites who wore fringes, had beards, and don't eat pork and keep the Sabbath? Do you think any of them guys, made good on their bet, Hassad?
Well, from the tone of your voice, no.
But to say to go back to what I was saying is, we're talking about the feeble among them will be as Terrence Bud Crawford. Give it up for Judah, man. All praises, whooping the hell out of my brother, which is another great fighter as well. Hey, he's a great fighter. You want payday? You want payday? All right, let's keep going.
We go to the next one.
This is when I want to say this too, because this is one of my favorite verses. Jeremiah 51. Jeremiah 51. Israelites, the 144,000, do not get to be the battle axe and weapons of war until the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Understand that.
Yeah, you want to go into this one?
Yeah, all right. So Jeremiah 51 and 19. The portion of Jacob is not like them. We are not like the rest of the other nations. For he, the Most High, is the former of all things. This is another scripture Hebrew Israelites break down wrong. And Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. This is a promise. For with thee I will break in pieces the nations, and with thee I will destroy kingdoms, and break in pieces the horses and his rider. And with thee I will break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With thee I will also break in pieces man and women, and with thee I will break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces the shepherd and his flock. So this is when the Israelites, specifically dealing with the 144,000, the governing body, that army, they are going to be battle axe and weapons of war at the Valley of Jehoshaphat. When the enemies try to invade Israel, the 144,000 go out and meet them at the Valley of Jehoshaphat and burn them up by destruction. This is Micah chapter 4, verse 11 to 13. It reads, now also many nations are gathered together against thee. This is Joel chapter 3, the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Let her be defiled, and let our eye look upon Zion. They want to try to take that holy land like they've been trying to take the holy land. And again, the holy land is not in sub-Saharan Africa. I destroyed and bodied Ron Dalton for even teaching that silliness. Neither understand they his counsel, for he shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor. Arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion. So the Most High is telling us to arise and destroy, for I will make thine horn iron, and I will make thy hooves brass. This is what you call spiritual power from upon high. And thou shalt beat in pieces many people. And I will consecrate thy grain unto the Lord, and their substance unto the Lord of the whole earth. Where's the one? Oh, you forgot Isaiah 41
and 15. I was going to put that in there, but I thought it was redundant.
It's all good. So in Micah 5,
this one's long. If you want me to read this one,
go ahead.
So again, Micah 4, it just is reiterating the nations are going to be gathered together against us. But like it says, they don't know, they don't even understand that God is specifically gathering these nations together just so they can all be in one central location for us to beat the hell out of all of them collectively. And in the following chapter, Micah 5:3 says, therefore will he give them up until the time that she was travailed hath brought forth. Then the remnant of his brethren, Christ's brethren, shall return unto the children of Israel. So we're going to return back to our homelands. And he shall stand and feed in the strength of the Lord, in the majesty of the name of the Lord his God. That's a Trinity. It calls Yahweh, the God of Jesus. It says, and they shall abide. For now shall he be great unto the ends of the earth. And this man, Christ, shall be the peace when the Assyrian shall come into our lands. What? We're going to break that down in a second. When the Assyrian shall come into our land, and when he shall tread in our palaces, then shall we raise against him 7 shepherds and 8 principal men. And they shall waste the land of Assyria with the sword, and the land of Nimrod in the entrances thereof. Thus shall he deliver us from the Assyrian when he cometh into our lands, and when he treadeth within our borders. And the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people as a dew from the Lord, as the showers upon the grass that tarrieth not for man, nor waiteth for the sons of men. And the remnant of Jacob shall be among the Gentiles in the midst of many people as a lion among the beasts of the forest, as a young lion among the flocks of sheep. What do lions and sheep do when they get together? Who, if he go through, both treadeth down and teareth in pieces, and none can deliver. Thy hand shall be lifted up upon thy adversaries, and all thy enemies shall be cut off. Now, what does this have to do with everything, with anything, anybody? Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the same battle. So Micah 5 details the same battle Micah 4 talks about, Ezekiel 38 talks about, Revelation 20, Joel 3, the ones of Zechariah, etc. Now, why does it mention the Assyrians then? How do the Assyrians play into this? Here's how. It's because the Assyrians are a historical enemy of the Israelites, in particular at the time in which Micah is writing and receiving this prophecy. Because the Assyrians are a historical enemy of the Israelites. Oh, we got to go back to the last one. And are being used typologically as a representative of Israel's enemies. And we're going to explain what that means. For example, in Hosea, look at this, Hosea chapter 8, verse 8. Israel is swallowed up, and now shall they be among the Gentiles, as a vessel wherein is no pleasure. For they are gone up to Assyria. A wild ass alone by himself, Ephraim hath hired lovers. So in verse 8 to 9, it says we've gone in slavery to the Assyrians, right? We've gone up to Assyria. But then in verse 13, it says, they sacrifice flesh for the sacrifices of mine offerings, and eat it, but the Lord accepteth them not. Now will he remember their iniquity and visit their sins. They shall return to Egypt. Okay, so are we going to go into Assyria, or are we going to go into Egypt? Because those are 2 different locations entirely. Is the Bible contradicting itself right here? What's going on? Let's go to the next slide.
Yes, sir.
So which one is it, right? Are they going to Egypt or Assyria? It's simple. It's called typology. And we're going to explain what typology is in a moment. It's Egypt is being used. Egypt, being a historical enemy of Israel, is being used typologically to represent captivity. Here's an example of typology. If you called the nigga in your hood that knocked people out Debo, the bully in your hood, you call him Debo. Well, is he literally Debo that Craig knocked out on Friday? No, but Debo is a typo. It's a type. It's an archetype of a bully. Put a G in the chat if that makes sense. Debo is a type. And then you can call other people who are not Debo, because they fit the characteristics of Debo. Put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense, or put a G in the chat if that makes sense. It's just like when we go into Deuteronomy 28 and 68, and this is a very, very good thing to put in your notes for Deuteronomy 28 and 68, because they will tell you, a Christian or someone who's adversary to the truth, they'll say that when we say that we shall go into Egypt again with ships, well, it doesn't say America, it says Egypt. Well, Egypt is being used typologically right there, right? And Hosea 8 is an example where Egypt is used typologically. Look at this. Here's the Benson commentary. Here's from Reverend Joseph Benson. And in his commentary on Hosea 8, look what he says. So since you don't believe us, a white man will tell you, and maybe you'll believe him. Now, in his commentary of Hosea 8:13, look what he says. They shall return to Egypt. Going into Egypt seems to have been a proverbial expression, meaning it's not literal. It's a expression. It's a proverb. It's a proverbial expression for extreme misery, and may here denote that they should go into a state of captivity and bondage as bad as that which their forefathers had suffered in Egypt. So it's not that they're going literally into Egypt, but they're going into slavery just like their ancestors went into slavery in Egypt. Egypt is being used as a type right here. Put a G in the chat if we understand that. Like the brother said, Egypt equals bondage. So when it says the Assyrians shall invade our land, just like the Egyptians are the type, or the archetype for, our slave masters in the Bible, the Assyrians during the time of Micah, they were our enemies. They were one of our chief enemies. And we are using Assyria as a type, just like we use Egypt as a type, just like in the example I gave earlier, we use Debo as a type today.
So I think with that being said, I want to just make sure that everybody gets it. Of course, I'm not calling you guys low level or anything. We just want to make sure that you guys have the proper understanding and no stones are left unturned. So when Hassad went to Micah 5, showing y'all how this is talking about the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the Ezekiel 38 invasion. So Ezekiel 38 says it's Gog and Magog invading with its allies. But Micah 5 says it's the Syrians invading. The Syrians aren't even a world power. So we just showed you that through Bible commentary, other theologians in scripture, that Assyrians can be used as our enemies in general. All right. So when it says the Assyrians are invading our land, this is literally talking about Brick, Gog, Magog, those who are left over after Armageddon. They come into the land, and guess what? We meet them at Jehoshaphat, and they get absolutely destroyed by the 144,000, as you see in verse 8. Yep. All right? Powerful. Go ahead.
So here's another scripture, Zephaniah 3:8. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms to pour upon them mine indignation. This is the point of him gathering all the nations to Jehoshaphat, to destroy them. Even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. See that? Same type of language that was used in Micah, Zechariah, Ezekiel, etc.
Ad nauseum, which I believe. So with that being said, I'm gonna put a link in the chat for you to join the panel for any questions, comments, or smoke, preferably on this topic or on any topic. And yeah, y'all, Jehoshaphat and Armageddon are not the same place, not the same war, not the same thing. I think that was proven, that was abundantly clear, overproven today, crystal clear through the spirit and power of the Most High God. We'll open it up for some questions, comments, and smoke right now. Somebody said it's like jargon. I don't know what you mean by jargon.
Jargon is just like rhetoric almost. That's so funny as my dad uses that word, jargon. I've heard that word in a very long time. Special words or expressions. Yeah, it's jargon. Sure. You could say that for sure.
Okay, question. Would the seventh trumpet be us in the kingdom, since the sixth is the missiles? The kingdom does start at the seventh trumpet technically. Is it built and established? No. That's Revelation 11 and 15. The kingdom does start at the seventh trumpet starts in verse 12, and then you see 3 verses later, 15, the kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of our Lord and his Christ, and he will rule forever. It's not exactly on topic, but can y'all talk about the refinement period, or Israelites not keeping the commandments there? I think he's talking about Malachi 3. I'm not sure what you mean.
Trump has said that he will designate Antifa as a major terrorist organization. Is this part of biblical prophecy? The only thing that comes to mind is Christ said that there's And there should be nation against nation, and that's even internal fighting. So, is there any direct prophecy about Antifa? I can't think of anything. Maybe Second Ezra 9 when it says there shall be intrigues and fighting amongst the people. Second Ezra 9, I believe that is.
Okay, Hassad, you can take a couple questions, and then whoever joins the panel, give me 1 second.
All right.
Might have to turn it to you.
William, what's going on?
Okay. Hey,
you can take a couple questions, and then whoever.
I have a question.
Real quick, family, you got to turn the YouTube off in the background.
All right, let me turn it down. Is that better?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
I wanted to ask the 12 thrones in the kingdom.
Okay.
I know represent the 12 apostles.
Mm-hmm.
Does that include Judas?
No. So when you read Acts chapter 1, Judas was replaced with Matthias. So Acts 1 and it's a little bit later. Acts 1 starting around verse 15 to 26. Acts 1, 15 to 26. Matthias is the one who replaces Judas for the 12th.
Okay. I kind of always worried about that. I was a little 50-50 on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All praise the
Shalom, Deacon. Shalom, Hassad.
Shalom, King.
Y'all are mighty in the King.
All praise to the Most High. All right, peace, brother. All right, take a few more questions. Somebody said, when y'all doing the Armageddon one? This one was definitely interesting. You must have just came in here, King, because we did Armageddon first. Then we did Jehoshaphat. So just rewind the video, and then you'll get our understanding on Armageddon. Somebody said, is the tribal dead excluded from the 10 truly kingdom? I don't know what you mean, King. Somebody said, what do you think about these 7 comments by the end of the year? It's funny, a good brother out here sent me a video about the comments. I feel like every year I hear about, Planet Nibiru and this comet and this and that. I'm not the person to ask about that. I don't really dwell too much into that.
Ask Billy Carson.
He's right.
Yeah. Ask Billy Carson. He's right in the back. He's 6 feet deep behind Wes Huff's house.
I don't know what you mean, Uzziah. Shout out Tribe Issachar. But make sure y'all ask y'all questions. And make sure y'all like and share the video. Make sure y'all like and share the video. Did y'all explain the 3,000-year periods? I just got here. We explained Revelation 20, the 1,000 years in verse 7. I think Priest might have a video on the what people try to say the 3 different 1,000-year reigns, or not reigns, but intervals. My question is, when we are brought back into the wilderness to be refined, are all the Israelites from North America there, including the non-repentant ones? It's going to be a lot of them. Well, no. The wicked Israelites are dying here in America.
Yeah. In Babylon, you die. And then if you're wicked, you go to the wilderness to get judged.
Yeah.
So, yes, you're there. And the resurrection is there. The brother asked a question about Revelation 20 again. I could have swore that I answered that. So I'll just pull it up on the screen and answer it again. Let's do Bible Hub. So Revelation 20 and 10. Let me know if you get it this time, brother. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet were. This is dealing with America and its allies. So you can say NATO. How do we know? Because in the prior chapter, brother, Revelation 19, this beast, verse 16, or is it verse 19? Then I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth, their armies gathered together to wage war. So all the world powers are present here, but Yahushua only destroys the beasts, NATO, America and its allies. But the beast was captured, and with it the false prophet. So, and they were what? Thrown alive into the lake of fire. That's Armageddon. Then after that, there's another battle, the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which you see Revelation 20. Oh, I didn't have my screen shared.
No, your screen share. Oh,
It wasn't right here, but you guys get it. You guys hear me.
Robert Walker, Micah 5:5. Who are the 7 shepherds and 8 principal men? So a shepherd is what? A leader. The elect are of the 7 shepherds, right? Because that's, again, a shepherd is a leader. The 144,000 are the leaders. The 8 principal men, is it literally 8 men? No. 7 means complete. Anything above 7, 8 would be like more than enough. So basically, to summarize it, it's the elect, right? And we're going to be given so much power. That's why it says 8. It's going to be more than enough. I don't know what you're talking about, Lance Thompson. Are Israelites who aren't yet awakened like those in Christianity, but they are righteous? Are they part of the righteous elect? Well, sis, if they're not awakened yet, then they're likely not righteous, because if they're not awakened, they're probably not keeping the commandments, and maybe they believe in the Trinity and other type of stuff. But eventually they will be righteous once they wake up. And then if they are of, God's.
Are you asking what if there's an Israelite that's a good person? If he don't put his saving faith in Hamashiach Yahushai, he can't be a good person to the Most High standard. I think that's what she was saying. Oh, wait. So Isaiah 66. So let's say let's get that. Pull that up and share your screen inside. So that's a good question. Let's say that there are some Israelites who are not bad people, quote unquote, but they're not in America. The reason why you don't get that privilege in America, because all the prophets are here in America. You don't get that privilege. But let's say you're in Bangladesh or Ghana and you haven't heard of the truth, but you're a so-called good person, right? You get a chance to be brought to the wilderness, accept Christ and, the way that the world is about to be, and you get to enter into the bond of the covenant. But it's not that you're going to be able to choose necessarily. It's what was predestined to happen. So whatever favor the Most High could have on an Israelite that is abroad, that is a so-called good person, it's predestined that, okay, he's a so-called good person. Let's bring him into the wilderness, bring him to the bond of the covenant. The wicked Israelites, they get brought in the wilderness, but they get purged out. The rebels get burned with the lake of fire that is right in proximity to the wilderness, Jehoshaphat and Armageddon and Basra, as you've seen on the imagery. Hopefully that helps answer your question. Read that real quick.
Isaiah 66:19. Let me zoom in a little bit. It says, and I will set a sign among them, and I will send those that escape of them unto the nations, to Tarshish, Pul, and Lud, that draw the bow, to Tubal and Javan,
to them that escape. So the glory is the nuclear destruction of America. The sign is the nuclear destruction of America. And them that escape, this is why we said, and there's other prophecies too, Revelation 15 and others, the righteous out of America, Babylon, get delivered first, then go and gather the Israelites from the rest of the nations. That's what this is saying here. Those who have not heard his fame, and they're going to be brought as priests and be put in their respected tribes. Okay, you could close your screen out. Let's see.
Maybe Revelation 2:10 is what she's referring to. The devil shall cast you into prison for 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Revelation 2:10?
Yeah.
Okay. For the sister Yasha, who was asking that question.
Yes, sir. If someone says Isaiah 13 is the old Babylon, what's your approach to cut that, Hassad?
People still live over there. It says that it shall be as the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah. It shall never be inhabited ever again. But the desert creatures shall live there. That's one thing I would say.
Well, the fact that Isaiah 13 says that there's going to be a war and they'll be destroyed by fire by other nations shows you that that did not happen in ancient Babylon. When you look at the Cyrus Cylinder and the Nabonidus Chronicles, and even the book of Daniel, there was no war with the Persians, the ancient Persians and the Babylonians, showing you that either Isaiah is a false prophet or this is about a future Babylon that will be destroyed by a fiery war, never to be inhabited again. Oh my God, it's crazy because I have a video coming out about this tomorrow. Hassad, you want to educate him, or you want to educate him, or you want to play soccer with his head, or you want me to do it?
Well, I think he's just asking a question. I don't get play soccer with his head.
I'm joking. So I've heard major Hebrew Israelite camps say that the Immaculate Conception is the virgin birth, and this is disgustingly not true. Maybe you had a slip of the tongue. Maybe you didn't know that. But this is why our community gets laughed at, because we just say things. The Immaculate Conception has zero to do with the virgin birth. The virgin birth is about Christ and his birth, whilst the Immaculate Conception is about Mary. They believe that Mary had an immaculate conception. What does that mean? Was she born as a virgin? No, they just believe that she was born without the stain of the original sin, so that she can now bring forth as a virgin, not touched by semen, the Messiah. It's all ridiculous BS, but please never conflate, convolute, or equate the Immaculate Conception with the virgin birth. So now, to answer your question, is Hebrews 7:3 about the Immaculate Conception, or is it about not being a descendant of Levi with no beginning or ending of priestly course? You worded that crazy, brother. Pull up Hebrews 7:3.
This is Hebrews 7:3. Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God, abideth a priest continually.
That's about Melchizedek, for one. That's about Melchizedek. So that's not about a virgin birth. I would never let somebody go there to do that. That's bad. They would have to say that Christ is now Melchizedek, and Christians don't like saying that. Now, the fact that he's under the Melchizedekite priesthood, you don't have to be from Levi to be from that priesthood. Why did he tell you that? And it was me talking mess. Now he's about to insult. Don't insult my young brother. Hassad, you can answer this.
Yeah, so Isaiah 63:17, the Israelites say, why have you made us to err? Then James says in James 1:13, let no man say when he is tempted that he is tempted of God, for God tempteth no man, neither can he be tempted. Something like that. So the answer is really simple. What James is telling you is that God does not directly, like it says in Sirach 15:20, tell somebody, go commit a sin. Even with the example, for like in Genesis 22, when it says, and God tempted Abraham, because you'll look at James 1:13 and you'll look at Genesis 22. Does God tempt anybody or not? Because it says he tempted Abraham, not directly. He used a intercessor. He used an angel to do that. That's why it says the angel of the Lord told Abraham stop. That's what it's referring to. So does God directly control everything? Yes, but he does not directly command anybody to sin. And when somebody is tempted, he's the one control of it, yes, but he doesn't directly tempt you. He'll use an intercessor. Or James doesn't know what he's talking about, but I don't take that answer. Let me see.
And with that, no, I'm joking. Here's a good question for you, Hassad.
So when does Amalek's army get destroyed in Isaiah 63? We went into that, matter of fact, I think on our Lake of Fire video, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. That happens at the sixth trumpet. At the sixth trumpet, which is the missiles, and which is the missiles. Wait, hold on a second. 1 second. Let me see something real quick. Let me see something real quick. Now, y'all stick around. I'm gonna give a scholarship for the Genesis Varsity Online Academy as well. Let me see. King James Version.
Somebody said 5-star ministry. Look at our video, The Lake of Fire. We did it a few weeks ago, maybe a month or two. Look up priest destruction, priest Genesis mode, Lake of Fire. Uzziah, I don't know what you mean, brother. Oh, let me stop sharing. This is about Melchizedek manifesting on the earth. The Levitical priesthoods way later. Well, shoot y'all questions because we finna wrap here in a little bit. Oh. Trying to get my waves right, y'all. I ain't been brushing my hair. I ain't been wearing my do-rag, nothing. Might as well have more motion than the ocean here in a little bit. All praises to the Most High. Yeah, Uzziah, listen, brother. It's all good. It's all he is. Yeah, make sure I like and share the video, everybody. All praises to the Most High. All right, I think they're done with questions. Oh, here we go. In Jeremiah 51:22, how do the women and young children get destroyed since they aren't a part of the army?
Yeah. So we'll be going, Lord willing, we be of that number. That's when we're going around the earth. When we're going around the earth, if they don't want, let's say they want to revolt or rebel and not come to the land and serve that 1,000 years of captivity, then they're gonna get destroyed. But to answer that brother's question, Isaiah 63 is happening like right before the missiles are shot, because the elect are saved before the plagues, but Christ has to come back to save the elect. So he's saving the elect before the plagues, but he's going immediately to Basra. So that has to happen in Isaiah 63 before the missiles, before the plagues, or at the start of the first plague at least. Okay, here we go. What's your approach to prove Isaiah 56 strangers get inheritance after slavery?
I don't know what he means by get inheritance after slavery, but yeah, I don't know how to address that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that either. Any strangers who are going to be serving hard bondage will have to stay in our land. Now, once their hard bondage is up and we just are going to have servants because we won't be doing anything, then they will still need to live in the land. Okay. Makawar says, how do y'all break down Israel being called seed of evildoers in Isaiah 1 and 4, and then seed of evildoers being said in Isaiah 14 and 20?
Yeah, I believe that's called the equivocation fallacy. You're saying that just because the same word is used twice, that it means the same thing is regarding the same people twice. So for example, even when you look up the equivocation fallacy, I think it'll say, if I said a bat, like the word bat, B-A-T, a bat can be referring to an animal and it can be referring to a baseball bat. The context lets you know it's not the same. So if I were to say, if Isaiah 14:20 says, and I saw a bat on the ceiling, and then later in Isaiah it says, and the bats, I saw I hit something with a bat. Does that mean I went up on the ceiling and grabbed a bat and used the bat to hit a baseball? No, it's two different things. They use the same words, similar language, but it's not the same thing. You have no disrespect because you say you asked with no God, but you use that fallacy a lot, the equivocation fallacy. And I think that's why a lot of stuff that you believe is incorrect.
Will the Israelites work in the kingdom? No. According to prophecy, everything will be done for the Israelites by non-Israelites. Read that in Isaiah 60, Isaiah 61, even Isaiah 62.
We'll be the priests of God.
But look at Issachar he is hired. He wants to still work in heaven. God damn. Anyway, next Sunday, y'all, we got a live debate going, which is really just an open discussion. Might turn into a little heated debate. I'll be moderating Hassad and Ratazah versus Pastor Seiko Woods and a Christian apologist, JP Uncut. Two BLACCs, bootlicking ass coon Christians, but I rock with JP to a certain extent. We got a solid relationship. I'm moderating this one though, but you best believe that I'm Bomac. We got Crawford and Shakur Stevenson, and I'm Bomac. All right, y'all. So set your reminders for Sunday. All right, everybody. So let's end this by giving all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh. We do so by Hashem Mashiach Yahushai. Oh, I got to give a scholarship real quick. All right, what should we do?
Pick a number between 1 and 10, and we'll find the first one. That's it. All right, pick a number between 1 and 10. Everybody ready, set, go.
Pick a number between 1 and 10. That was quick. Swag Society. Let's see who came first.
Look at these niggas. There's someone spamming.
Oh,
1,
no.
2, 3, 4,
No,
5, 6,
yeah.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Wait, no. It was Nicholas. The number was 4. Nicholas on my end, it shows Nicholas had the first 4. Somebody confirm that. Does Nicholas have the first 4? Because sometimes it's different on everybody's screen. Does Nicholas have the first 4?
He did have the first 4. Yep,
he did. Okay. That brother deserves it though. All praise to the Most High. All praise to the Most High.
All praises, y'all. So again, we're gonna have this discussion, Lord willing, next week. Make sure y'all tune in. Hope the lesson was edifying. We got the free PDF in the description box. So if y'all want to go over anything, y'all can, 1, watch the video, and 2, you'll have the actual information in front of you so you can look at it yourself without any commentary. All praise to the Most High. If y'all got any questions on it as well, you can highlight whatever part, send it to us via email, social media message, text message, whatever. All praise to the Most High, and I hope it was edifying everybody.
No, it's in there for sure. He said he doesn't see it. You're going to refresh your screen. All right, we love y'all. Peace, blessings, and Kwam Yasharala.
Shalom.